Yo, right lad, this is the Geordie Jedi here doing my next video game review. Dishonored's one of those games where everything about it is upped. It's, it's revolutionary, it's, the graphics are amazing, gameplay is decent, that kind of thing, but it never sold as well as it did. Bethesda, who'd made this, as well as ZeniMax, put in lots of money to make this game and to make everything about it just that one up level on the majority of other games. It didn't sell as well as it did, and I think it deserved to sell more. It was considered best of E3 2012, which is pretty good because 2012 was a decent year for gaming. There was quite a few big steps out at the time, although 2013 you could argue is bigger just because of next gen really. You start off as Corvo Tano, who's a bodyguard for the Empress or the Queen, whichever you prefer. It's effectively the same, and specifically her daughter. Obviously, and if everything goes wrong, and you end up becoming effectively an assassin. Now, the story's pretty good actually. It's quite interesting. The game's very steampunk as well. It's meant to be almost like a steampunk version of London. That there's quite a few places in the game that you'll see that is very Londonish, especially the pub, which is sort of your headquarters. And this is an old school traditional pub, rather than what some people might consider pubs these days. This is very, very Victorian pub. The look and layout, because that's the idea. It's a steampunk industrial. Obviously it has weird crazy technology that we don't have. It has obviously health potions among other things that we don't have. Eventually you end up meeting this sort of almost demon, shall we say, and he can give you superpowers, shall we say. Supernatural, I think, is perhaps more accurate. And you can use blink, which is effectively teleportation. You can possess certain animals, specifically rats in the main part, among a number of other special abilities you can do. Like the majority of games these days, you can choose to be good or bad, but unlike other games, it doesn't affect the main story, the choices necessarily, but it's other things that affect the whole gameplay. For example, you could choose to spare someone or have them killed. Effectively the same result ends up happening, however, maybe you feel a bit better about yourself. However, if you have two choices effectively, whenever you're going for a kill, you can be destructive, you can kill everybody you see, although that's a bit more difficult, but I mean, you don't have to be stealthy. Or you can be stealthy, you don't have to kill anyone. If you spend enough time and you're good enough, you won't have to kill anybody. Now what happens is that if you go for the destructive path and you kill people and you leave lots of bodies, in this place there's a plague and it's caused by rats, and rats can be a right pest when they're all massed together and attack you. If you kill more people and leave more dead bodies, there will be more rats. Throughout the game, the more people you kill, the more rats there'll be to annoy you and to attack you. Obviously, if you keep stealthy, there'll still be the odd, one or two groups of rats, but for the most part, you won't see many. Now, this specifically is really unusual. Lots of games, they will give you the good or bad choices, but they won't, and it'll affect the end story, but it won't affect the gameplay. Apart from perhaps supernatural powers, you'll have good powers and you'll have bad powers. So for me, this is something that I think more games should do, when your almost generic choices, which is kill or not, or don't kill, should affect the game. Just in basic terms, in just say, oh, there's a dead body over there, that affects your gameplay. For example, you know, because it's sort of like the butterfly effect, you know. One small thing you change might have a big impact, and it sometimes can be very, very fun to see it from two different angles. Anyways, onto the game. The game itself is pretty good for me. It's quite good for me personally. However, I can see how it's you know, first person assassin jumping around, so I can see how it can only be for a certain kind of gamer. You know, it's not GTA 5. You know, it's not necessarily for pretty much every gamer out there. It is for a very special kind of gamer, shall we say. Anyways, overall the game deserves probably a 9 out of 10. It's still relatively new. It was best of E3 2012, which means that it was out later on. I got the special edition around Christmas time, so it came out end of 2012. So, anyways, so you know, the game does age well, but it hasn't been long enough for it really to tell. Anyways, it's been the Geordie Jedi. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want, comment if you want. I'll be happy to read them, and if you change my mind on anything, then by all means, may the Force be with you.